Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever time of day it may be for you. I am the Layback Gamer, and today I'm coming forth with my final review video. It's not really too special. This is just for those who are as curious as I am and my opinion on the topic, but basically what this expansion is going to do to future expansions. Now, the next one is going to be what I hope it is, a big card dump, similar to what Heroes of Skyrim was to the game. So Heroes of Skyrim added in a bunch of cards, quite a few actually. And Clockwork City, like the Dark Brotherhood, I clicked promotional on accident, was an adventure expansion that it didn't add in that many cards, but it still added in quite a few. Not as many as Heroes of Skyrim did, but still quite a few. Anyways, now that the expansion's been out, most people who are, well, the higher up, those guys who are playing high up in the leagues, and then a few trickling all the way down, basically anybody who's not new to the game probably already has all these cards. So when I pull up one, it hopefully shouldn't be. Anyway, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to ramble on a small thing. Let's get to the meat of the episode. So, this expansion introduced quite a few new things. By quite, I mean only a few. One of them being the Factums. If I could pull one up. Here we go. So, the Sentry, for example, you all know it. 2 mana, 1/1, assemble, +2 or guard. Do I think the assemble mechanic is going to appear in future expansions? The answer, actually, yes. I think this is going to appear in a future expansion. It's a really great concept. There's not too many of these cards in the game. There's only, in fact, a total of 10 assemble cards. So it's a concept that can easily be expanded upon a little more. You can add something such as perhaps Slay, maybe +1 attack or +1 health, which is one of the assemble options, or you can assemble, I'm not sure. I think a cool one would be, for assemble, would be either you give all of the creatures Slay +1/+1, or you assemble them with, say, 3 health. That way you can either try to go for value and see if you can build up that specific card even more on the board, or you can just go insta-stats and give it the +3 health to be able to survive. That might be a little broken, might need a little work on it, but I think that would be a pretty cool concept. We already have ones for most of the keywords. I think Ward is might be the only one that isn't part of a Factum card. So when that gets added, it'll probably be maybe +1/+1 or Ward. I think, actually, yeah, that would be a pretty fair one for someone, say, with the stats of the Assemble Sentry. Or maybe even I don't know. Oh crap, we don't have it here. It would be in Core. Say, the stats of the Adoring Fan. 0/1 with Assemble, +1/+1, or Ward. I think that would be a fair card. Probably costs 2 or 1 mana. Leaning towards 2. Just to make sure that it's not, not too overpowered for its cost, but at the same time, it's not a card where if you don't draw it turn 1 or turn 2, you're probably done for. Anyways, that's my opinion on the Factums. They're going to come back. I'd like them to come back. We got introduced to more Dwemer cards. Do I think Dwemer's going to come back? Absolutely. Hands down, it's probably going to come back in the future. I'm not sure if it's going to come back in the very next expansion, but I think we're going to see more Dwemer cards added to the game, as it is the one class that is, well, it's the one race of cards that's completely neutral. It has been since the beginning of the game with the addition of the Factums. Now they're also one of the only cards that are neutral in the game as well. Now on to the Fabricate. So this expansion also released a bunch of Fabricate cards. Some of them have additional abilities if you play a... Well, they have a triggered ability if you happen to have a neutral card in play. So Hulking Fabricant, if say I had an Assembled Sentry in play, this guy would get +3/+3 more to its stats. So 5 mana, 8/8. Pretty good. This guy had the Brasilisk, 3 mana, 2/2. When it takes damage and survives, summon a copy of it in the other lane. I haven't seen a deck where this would work in. You would definitely have to play a card such as Maple Shield with it. Play it on turn 2, give it Maple Shield. Now it's a 2 mana 2/5 that will almost guaranteed get at least one trigger. You'll summon one in the other lane almost all the time with that combination. No, there we go. And then there's a card such as Verminous Fabricate, where you have neutral in play, you silence a creature. Hunter Killers, you battle an enemy creature, and then you go again. It's a weaker Skyborn Dragon, but if Hunter Killer happens to get a buff from something such as the Forge... Where is it? I don't think I have a copy of it. Yeah, if you have this in play, give the Hunter Killers an additional attack, or not, well, attack, defense. You give it lethal, it's basically a 7 mana kill 2 creatures of your choice, which can be pretty powerful. I'm just going to quick disenchant my commons. There we go. And, well, yeah, that's basically all to really talk about Fabricates. Do I think they're going to come back? No. I don't think they're going to come back. I mean, these guys were very specific to Clockwork City, the Clockwork City. I mean, if we go to a place where Mechanar's been, which is probably somewhere in Morrowind, we might be able to see them, but I don't think we're going to get a Morrowind expansion next. Clockwork City, if I'm not mistaken, and I do apologize if I'm wrong, is a Dwemer Ruins inside Morrowind. So it wouldn't make sense to do a Morrowind expansion right after you release something that was a part of Morrowind. Although, it would probably be a pretty good expansion, as they have Elder Scrolls Online and the Morrowind itself to base a lot of creatures off of, get a lot of cards. You could easily get a card, like a massive card expansion for this game from the 2 platforms. But do I want to see Morrowind? Probably not. Probably not as the next expansion. Maybe a few down the line. Absolutely, I'd love to see it. But right now, we just had a small piece of Morrowind come to this game. And I don't even know if you go explore it. I don't think you go explore Clockwork City in Morrowind. But this was, nevertheless, a small piece of Morrowind, and I don't want to see it right as the next expansion. So that's why I don't think Fabricates are coming back. It just doesn't make sense for them to come back in a future expansion. It made sense for Dragon to come in this one as, well, they named it a Clockwork Dragon. So a dragon made out of machinery. So there are a couple mods for Skyrim that add these in, and you can bet that a Dwarven city, the dwarves probably have seen a couple of dragons here and there, and maybe they tried to build a couple of dragons based on it, and some got locked in the Clockwork City. So that's why it would make sense for having that dragon aspect. The way that the adventure played out, where you had to get the dragon head, makes sense for it to be there. Personally, I would have liked to have seen it where in the other fight where shouts were always level 3. I think that would have made more sense to plop it in, but I think that's the battle we got the Clockwork Dragon from, which made would have made just as much sense going there as the other dragon. Anyways, I'm going off on a completely different tangent here. Where was the... Oh yeah, we also were introduced to a mechanic called Treasure Hunt. Do I believe it's going to come back in the next expansion? Absolutely. Whenever you're in a new play, like if you're playing Morrowind, you're likely going to go on a treasure hunt to find some loot, bring it back, sell, get money. In these cards' place, if you get the loot from the treasure hunt, you're getting additional stats. And Aldora the Daring has an additional benefit of summoning Skywag that gets +1/+1 whenever, if she's on the field, and whenever a friendly treasure hunter finds something that they want. So, however, I'm not a real big fan of the treasure hunt mechanic, to be quite honest. I personally, I don't really like it too much. Willpower, well, Willpower has, every class has one to speak of. Strength has the most. Surprisingly, it also has the most fabricates too. So, if fabricates do come back, which I don't think they will, it's not going to come to strength. Same with treasure hunt, unless they give the other classes 2 treasure hunts, treasure hunt mechanic cards, and strength would then be able to get 1. But I do not foresee that happening. I think that about covers everything that I think. Well, actually, there is one more card, and that's the ability of Mechanical Heart. Mechanical Heart, if you have 0 or less health, sacrifice it and set your health to 10. Restore a rune. I think this is a very, very good card for what it does. Do I foresee other cards interacting when you drop below, like other supports coming out and activating if you drop below health? I know we have cards in the game. Let me just pull out all core. Someone such as Soul Rest Marshal, which interacts if you have more health than your opponent, you get something. Or Golden Saint, you have more health, you summon something. Another one here, Bloodworm Necron. I think all of them have something that's 6 mana. This one does not. Intelligence probably has one at less. Jarl, you have more health, summon something. Mechanical Heart, completely unique. It has a set guideline. You have to hit 0. I think we may have more supports that will activate if you drop below a certain health, which would make support removal more wanted more in different decks. It might cause certain attributes to phase out. It would definitely bring Warrior more into the picture, but if we get, say, a Willpower card, and I think this would be a really good one to play against Mechanical Heart, but we get a Willpower card, say it was a 7 mana action, and destroy an enemy support, play it as your own. So what it would do, it would the exact same thing as the El Archer, the Giant, Shadowfen Priest, Etiquette of Azura. It would destroy your opponent's support, but then it would also give you a copy and then play it for you. So in essence, you steal the Mechanical Heart from them. And I think that would be a cool addition to have for Willpower, as well, you're trying to have the will to survive. So therefore you have the will to be able to reach out, grab an enemy support, and use it as your own. In Mechanical Heart's case, you grab it, you take their heart. Now all of a sudden, you have more survivability. And if you're running a copy of this already, you have basically two chances to come back into the game. You steal your opponent's. Your opponent activates the heart, and you go back up to 10. You play your own heart, get yourself prepped for a big board clear. Your heart, if you lose your heart and gain the 10 health and a rune, and now suddenly you got your board prepared for either the win or a counterplay to be able to turn the tables back into your favor, and then to win the game from the future. Something I'd also like to see, perhaps more supports that trigger off of health, specifically when you get to a certain stage. Say for endurance, the endurance class, they're all about ramping and getting out the really big creatures. Flash Atronach, for instance, benefits off of, gets bigger the more in your discard pile. That's another thing that the endurance will also use their fallen creatures in order to get a little bit ahead. So say you had maybe a, gonna theory craft here, 7 mana support that triggers off of when you drop below 10 health. Should you go below 10 health, you are say it restores 5, and then maybe it summons a creature from your discard pile. 2 creatures from your discard pile that of your choice. That might be too powerful. 1 random, 1 of your choice. And so you'd be able to choose. You won't choose which lane they spawn in, but you get a say as to which card you want back. So say you're playing against an aggro deck, play this so-called 7 mana support, drop below 10 health. You happen to have, let's say, I can't pronounce his name, but you have him in your discard pile. You choose him, and another card you may have would be, I'm going to go and pick on Spell Sword for a little bit. You have Emperor's Blade in there. You have that. Now you have you get 2 guards on the field. One of them is a guard of your choice. Suddenly your opponent can't get lethal anymore, and now you have a chance to come back. I think they would have to be unique legendaries, but I could see them coming into the game. I'm not sure what it would be called, but I think it would be really cool to have more cards that work the way Mechanical Heart does. Not exactly the way it does, so each attribute has their own own version of Mechanical Heart, but something that plays off of you having a specific amount of health or less, and then it activates, and it might give you more health. Or say if it was intelligence, you would draw, maybe you drop below 15, you draw 3 cards, and if any of them are prophecies, you may play them for free, which goes off of intelligence. I think they have more prophecy cards. Let me just check. Well, maybe they don't. Alright, strength has 1 paid. Well, let's go ahead and go here. Yeah, so intelligence has the most amount of prophecies in it. So you play it, you draw 3 cards. If any of them are prophecies, you play them for free. I know in some decks it might be a little overpowered, especially if you run a prophecy-only deck. You just get 3 free cards to play from it. But it would introduce a bit of a style to play around with. That's just a couple of suggestions. I'm not saying they should do that, but that's a couple of suggestions what they could do around. Oh, let me go ahead, get rid of that. Around cards. Yeah. I think I've talked long enough. I'm going to end it here. Thank you everyone for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you really enjoyed. Share this video to anybody who you think will enjoy my content, whether it be my commentary, what I play, so Elder Scrolls Legends or Ratchet & Clank, or any game I may have out at that time, or whether it just be for you just like watching me go either advance or fail a couple times. I don't mind it at all. Thank you everyone for watching. See you next time. Take it easy.